I want to read a little passage here from Adam Himmelsbach's article. You mentioned Adam before. He is as good as there is on the Celtics beat right now. When he writes, you listen, which is why he does not do a lot of interviews, by the way, because he doesn't like to get caught up in all the hot takey stuff. He's a journalist. He puts the facts out there and what he's heard and what the reporting is, and we love that he comes on with us from time to time. Here's what he wrote. The Celtics social media team has posted plenty of pictures and videos of these workouts, the players in Boston's arrival, all and on. There's been no sign of guard Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon, of course, was hampered by a forearm strain during the conference finals last year. Then in June, part of the first iteration of the Kristaps-Porzingis trade that before that deal crumbled, Marcus Smart ended up in the three-team transaction instead. Brogdon and his camp have been quiet this summer. Members of the Celtics front office have mostly avoided or deflected questions about the sixth man of the year. Something about the situation just feels off. But the indications I've gotten are that the Celtics are not considering trading Brogdon any more than they are considering trading any other player. His sour ending to last year aside, it is worth remembering Brogdon's value to the Celtics last year, and Smart's departure figures to only increase his role. Media Day is scheduled for October 2nd, which, as we sit here, is 10, 11 days away, and there will be some clarity then. So I think a very important line that he included in that. Indications I've gotten that the Celtics are not considering trading Brogdon any more than they are considering trading any other player, which tells you Malcolm Brogdon still very much could be traded. I have heard some whispers that the Celtics are still trying to trade him. I am not saying my reporting is any better than Adam Himmelsbach's. In fact, I will tell you the opposite. It is very much inferior to Adam Himmelsbach's. However, I have been saying for weeks, for months, ever since this trade fell apart, do not be surprised if the fallout from this situation or potential fallout still leads to Malcolm Brogdon being traded. I still believe it. Even though we are sitting here in late September, I still believe Malcolm Brogdon is maybe not actively, being, dangled out there by the Celtics, but I think he is absolutely on the trade block. I firmly believe that. Where I think it is now more limiting, Ev, and I've talked about this too, is that now you can't just up and move him. You have to get a piece back that is a contributor and a guard. You need a guard back, or you got to get a guard elsewhere because you are thin at guard as it is after trading Marcus Smart. You cannot now trade Malcolm Brogdon and get a wing back. I just don't believe that's, in terms of roster construction, that's something that you can do.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
I want to ask you a question about that particular paragraph, or a couple of paragraphs there from Himmelsbach. I know we have said on this show already that we all kind of ran with this without really any reporting, but in Himmelsbach's piece, does any part of that make you think that Malcolm still isn't pissed? Because the way that reads to me is we haven't heard anything from Malcolm, and it's kind of a bad thing that we haven't heard. Like, we haven't heard anything from him at all. I
don't think it reads that it's a bad thing. I think it reads that
it comes off to me a little bit.
Malcolm's pissed, but we don't know Malcolm's not pissed. We just don't know. I think that's how it reads.
Okay.
Therefore, I feel like it's Adam saying, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Malcolm Brogdon is pissed off.
Or not.
Right. Exactly.
We don't know.
I think it's very carefully worded to say as much.
Right. And I think Adam, if we had him on the show, would tell you that it doesn't indicate literally anything. And that's the one thing that's Adam is very, and even when he's on here with us, we're going to have Adam on hopefully later on the next couple of weeks or so. But he's always very careful about how he words and phrases things. And again, that reads to me like there might be a little something still there. But again, at the same time, we have no idea. And the phrase of they're not thinking about trading him any less than anybody else on the roster. Well, we all know how the NBA works. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, the only guy that's truly untradeable on the roster is Jason Tatum. So, pretty much everybody's up for grabs if the price is right. And if somebody were to call, or if Brad were to call someone and somebody was interested and they were interested in the same package, then things are going to get done. But I honestly don't think because of this elbow injury, there would have to be certain things in place for another team to trade for Brogdon. I mean, we have no idea how that rehab is going, how that injury has progressed, and how it's healed over time. We have no clue. And maybe that's on purpose. You know, you go back to like the Last Dance, right? Scottie Pippen didn't play until like halfway through the year because he was mad at the team for not giving him an extension, and he had his injury that held him out for the majority of the year, right? And it created a little dissension amongst the team. I'm not saying that Malcolm Brogdon is Scottie Pippen here, but I'm saying that, you know, they have gone radio silent when a little bit of communication would do a whole lot of good to clear some things up. And it's not like Malcolm's not a pro and his team doesn't understand the value of using the media to help things out. They haven't spoken maybe for a reason, because they want the Celtics to be uncomfortable. I don't know. I'm just, again, we're speculating here. I'm throwing things out.
In that vein, what you just said, I think that, so Malcolm, like, to be very clear, Malcolm Brogdon doesn't owe us, the media, or fans anything. Like, Malcolm Brogdon doesn't have to say anything that goes beyond his literal team and league requirements to talk with the media. And we're not there yet. We're in the offseason. But I think what you just said is interesting about whether or not, and we don't know. I keep saying we don't know because we don't. We don't know what level of conversation he has had within the team. And I don't mean with teammates. I mean with management, with front office, with, you know, coaches, all of that. Has he closed the door on them? Has he, you know, boxed them out because, again, he's upset for one reason or multiple reasons? Or are they actively in touch behind the scenes and nobody is talking about it? But what I do think, and you just alluded to this, what could be interesting is you would think with that injury, there'd be some level of rehab taking place with the team doctors in Boston. And if he has not been around at all, and I don't know this to be true, doesn't mean every time a guy is around, there needs to be a picture on the Celtics Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to call it. If he has not been around at all in months, that would be something that I would find mildly alarming.
Yeah, I think you'd be right to feel a little alarmed about that. You know, Porzingis, everybody gave him a hard time because he was with, you know, Lithuania and not rehabbing with the Celtics. There was a time, and I thought it was really just stupid, but some people were giving him a hard time. But why isn't he back in Boston rehabbing with the Celtics doctors? It's like, that doesn't really matter right now. Like, he's going to be back in Boston short. He is back in Boston right now. We've seen photos of him, you know, there was one screenshot, I think, of the entire city. So I might have been taken even from the Auerbach practice center. But it's like, you know, one of these things where he's back with the team now. That story that, we were just trying to find something to talk about, right? We had hit that time of the calendar of like, man, we're just really struggling for content here. Whereas this one varies a little differently because we haven't heard anything. Like, again, we got updates from Team Lithuania about his progress. And now that he's back in Boston working out with the team, we don't have to worry about that as much. Again, a little bit. And this is maybe where I have a little beef with Malcolm right now, is just because of the lack of communication, where this story has been out there for about a week now. Again, our podcast was last Thursday with Gary, and everybody's picked up and ran with it since. A little just blurb to the media real quick, short paragraph, something would clear a lot of this up and would give us another talking point to have, and then we could just move on with the rest of our lives. But because we haven't had that yet, we sit here and speculate, and it's really kind of frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. Again, does he owe us that? No. Would it help some things? Sure.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/newsfeed50 and use code newsfeed50 to get 50% off. That's code newsfeed50 at factormeals.com/newsfeed50 to get 50% off.